What's up, everybody? Happy Friday morning. It's time to make another sit-down video. I know it's been a little bit, but we've had a few things happen in the last, I want to say 2 days, to where I feel like we need to actually sit down and have a discussion. So I've got a quick little series of topics to get through, but before I get to that, I want to say I am very close to 1,000 subscribers, so that's a cool little milestone. And I think I'm like 13 away from 1,000 right now. So thank you to everybody who's been here this whole time. Thank you to everybody who just got here. Um, I wouldn't be making these videos if nobody was watching them. So thank you to everybody who comes out and watches my videos. I'll make a video when we get to 1,000, which I'm assuming is going to happen fairly soon here because we are still streaming pretty much every day. But yeah, cool times. Never really thought I'd get to this milestone because my videos are so kind of niche compared to what a lot of other channels do, but we're almost there. All right, Seahawks news. We have a few things to go through. First of all, the most significant thing, in my opinion, is the deadline for players to opt out of the 2020 season has passed, and the only Seahawk to opt out is Chance Warmack, who was an offensive lineman who was barely making any money. So, of course, he's going to sit out the season. He has nothing to gain. And he sat out last season anyway, so he probably wouldn't even make a roster. For all, I'm not sure if this is the case or not, but this might even allow him to collect some of that NFL unemployment money that he otherwise wouldn't have gotten. So there's obviously no reason for him to stick around, and he very likely wasn't even going to make the team anyway. So this Seahawks team, this roster has been basically unaffected by the opt-out clause in this year's NFL. So you look around the league, you look at teams like the Bills. The Bills just lost one of their best defensive players, probably their best defensive player. Patriots have lost a bunch of their best defensive players. The Buccaneers have lost like 7 players, including 3 offensive linemen. The list of key players who are sitting out this year, the Jets, there's another team we play, by the way. All these teams, not just are they teams that the Seahawks might have to compete against this year, but they're teams that we directly play this year are losing key pieces. We didn't lose anything. So once again, the schedule just got a little softer. The road ahead just got a little softer. And if this season, when you look at everything that's built up in terms of what we have and what other teams are dealing with, if this is not a very successful season, then some people really need to be held accountable for that. Because we have a soft schedule that just got softer because of all these players who are sitting out. We don't have to worry about our players sitting out because the deadline's passed. Nobody's going to call out now. A player could get sick, but that's a problem that every team in the league has to worry about. And yeah, basically, we are in a very good position going into this season in more ways than one. And if we cannot capitalize on that with a successful 2020 season, then I really hope the right people get held accountable. So that's the big thing. The second big thing would be the Quinton Dunbar situation. I made a Quinton Dunbar video way back when this story first broke, and then I left it alone because we kept hearing different things. We kept hearing different takes. We kept hearing, oh, he's going to play, he's not going to play. I didn't want to make a video every time we heard something new about Quinton Dunbar. So I was going to sit on it, but the story's not completely over yet, but we did get some big news today. All the charges against Quinton Dunbar have been dropped due to a lack of evidence. So he will not be facing prison time. I'm honestly surprised because I was under the impression that there was very compelling evidence that he had bribed witnesses, but I guess not. Like I said, I got so annoyed by this story, I wasn't paying super close attention to it, but I was under the impression that he was dead to rights, but he's gotten off. So, looks like we're going to have him this year. Were it not for the fact that he is on the commissioner's exempt list, and even though he's not going to be facing criminal charges, the NFL might still decide he needs to be punished for being involved in this in any capacity. And very good chance there is going to be some sort of suspension. If you look at what happened to Zeke Ezekiel Elliott a few years ago, where he got suspended for 6 games when he didn't get any criminal charges against him. We could be looking at something similar with Quinton Dunbar. But in terms of actual jail time, in terms of actually getting kicked out of the league, in terms of actually being completely unavailable to the team in 2020, I think we've dodged the big bullet. So I look for Dunbar to maybe miss the first 6 games of the season, and then we get him for the final 10 or less, depending on how long of a season we have. So that's good news. However, after considering this case, after taking a look at everything that's happened around this case, after really trying to analyze what's been put in front of us in terms of his actions and the things that he did that led to this blowing up into a months-long case, I think it's reasonable to say that he's a bit of a moron for this. I think it's reasonable to say that he did something that he should not have done, and it seems to me that the fact that he is not going to be charged officially is more to do with luck than it is to do with him not doing anything wrong. I feel like he did something that he should not have done. He did something stupid, and he's just going to get off because that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I know DeAndre Baker is still in trouble, so that tells me that he probably was involved, but just to a lesser degree to where he can't really be charged. So I don't like that. I don't like having idiots on my team. I don't like the possibility of this being a distraction for him because this was quite an ordeal he went through this offseason. I don't like the idea of him taking the field for us and not having his full focus on the game. So, frankly, at this point, I am hoping to just get some production out of him this year and then saying goodbye to him this offseason, or next offseason at this point. Yeah, next offseason. But yeah, I'm looking to hopefully get something out of that 5th round pick we traded for him, and then quickly and quietly moving on from him being a Seahawk, because I find it very hard to believe that he didn't do something. He did something that put him in this situation. So yeah, that's my take on Dunbar. Good to have him around. Good for depth. Good for etc. But I'm concerned about what this will do for his ability to play. Final bit of news. This isn't really news yet, but I'll go ahead and throw it in anyway because it's hugely significant to the team potentially. It looks like the 2 pass rushers we are looking at to add to the team before the season starts. We have former Viking Everson Griffin, and we have former Packer and Ram Clay Matthews. I'm going to go ahead and reiterate what I've always said when this topic came up. I really like Everson Griffin. I think he would be a great addition to this team. He's the guy that I want. He's the guy that I've wanted for quite some time. I think that at this point you could get him for maybe $7 to $8 million a year. Sign me up for that. I do not want Clay Matthews. I do not think he can play defensive end in a 4-3. There is a big difference between playing outside linebacker in a 3-4 and playing defensive end in a 4-3 where you have to put your hand in the dirt on every play. I don't think Clay Matthews can do that at this point. I don't know if he could ever really do it, but I certainly don't think he can do it now. So that's my take on that. Hopefully, we end up with Everson Griffin. I think we do need something like that in order to bring this offseason together. But for now, the big news today, we dodged the worst with Quinton Dunbar. Now we just have to see what Goodell does. All right, streaming tonight, Left 4 Dead 2 probably. See you guys then. Go Hawks. And yeah, that's the news today.